It took 8 years for Assassin's Creed to be set in the UK, yours truly's homeland.
What's favourite number? 69!
And the results were, interesting to say the least. Whilst the game was something, with the tone being way too light for the Industrial Revolution, combat so button mashy it may as well file for a restraining order. Stealth I'm not even sure if I like, and parkour is as stiff as my legs on a cold summer morn. However, with all its setbacks and its minimal steps forward, there is one thing AC Syndicate has above all Assassin's Creed games, and that is the best DLC of all time. Jack the Ripper is one of the most infamous serial killers to ever exist on this planet, and one of the most well-known unsolved cases. It's this well-known that even 137 years later, yes, that long, that people still wonder who Jack the Ripper was, and what his main goals were during this massacre. Why was he doing it? Was there some sort of stigma? What was it that drove him to do all these murders? And unfortunately, we will never know. We will never know why he did what he did, why he targeted, who he targeted. We will never know at all. But we're here to talk about the DLC. Let's talk about the DLC because I love how creative Ubisoft Quebec was whilst making this DLC and this story, the gameplay, everything. How they told a different but also the same story with Jack the Ripper, coinciding the historical accuracy and the Assassin's Creed fantasy, putting them all together. So let's get into it because I feel like this DLC deserves its flowers, so let's get started. I want to start off with how the game portrays the Ripper and how they handle creating an unknown but also known presence of Jack the Ripper, and how they get Jack the Ripper to affect the place that he's been into. How does he affect London? How does he affect Whitechapel? I'm happy to say that they nail that from the start. Literally from bang on the jump, they make such a good start on this DLC. It starts with Jacob Frye trying to stop Jack's letters from going into the press. This is already showing that Jack already has London in fear, and that putting more letters, putting more of his stuff into the press will make things worse. And in Jacob's words,
"You've turned an unknown miscreant into a legend, and that's exactly what he wants."
Which, to be fair, actual letters were actually posted into the papers, such as papers titled Saucy Jack. This was put in the newspapers by the police in hope that someone would recognise the handwriting. It was sent to London Central News Agency on October 1st, 1888. The day after the murders of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, and another letter titled Dear Boss, which was the origin of the name Jack the Ripper. The letter dated September 25th, 1888, which was signed Jack the Ripper, and although widely believed to be a hoax, it was the first ever recorded instance of the name Jack the Ripper being used. That's right, people, this ain't even just a small review, we're getting historical in here, yes sir. The whole opening of this section of the start of the DLC set the rest of the tone for the DLC. Jack isn't even in the game much, however the ever lingering presence that Jack has is terrifying. The DLC got me moving like Michael Jackson. I always feel like somebody's watching me and I get no privacy. You know what I mean? Like Shamal. Like come on now, there's no other way. The presence is there. But with that being said, let's move on to the next subject. I love the story that is told in the DLC, however I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm just going to talk about certain pieces in the story, so let's just get into it. Now the story that has been chosen for Jack's backstory is interesting. Here, let Evie Frye tell you why it's interesting to say the least.
The last time Henry, my brother, and I were together was in India 15 years ago. When the photograph was taken, we stood facing a temple of Kali. And that's one of the boys Jacob brought to train with the Brotherhood. What did we call him? Jack the Lad. Reckless and roguish, much like my brother.
Yep, you heard that right. He is an apprentice of Jacob Frye, which also means he has grapple hook, eagle vision, hidden blades, fear tactics from the Indian Brotherhood, and all the skills of an assassin, which also equals parkour. And I am surprised, from my knowledge anyways, that there was no backlash of Jack the Ripper being a rogue assassin in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. And honestly, I'm not too sure how to feel about it. I'll be genuinely honest with you guys. I don't know how to feel about it. Like this man actually existed. He actually killed 5 women. He went on a massacre spree, and making him a rogue assassin is a interesting one. I genuinely just don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. However, the main story itself, disregarding the backstory, is great. Like I said, Jack the Ripper isn't on screen often. However, when he is, you really see how powerful and how feared this version of Jack is, and how it imitates the feeling on how people felt back then. Like, this version of the Ripper fully bodied Jacob Frye, a former master assassin. Yes, a former master assassin, because apparently during this time he was not leading the Brotherhood at all. Don't fight me, fight Google, fight AC Law, it's not up to me. The guy was a former master assassin, so clearly the man was bing chilling for quite a while. Now, because Jacob gets absolutely bodied, hashtag free Jacob Frye 1888, 'twas up to one person to save the day. 'Twas up to one person to end the reign of the Ripper, and unfortunately, it's Evie Frye.
No! It can't be! No!
I will be honest, this kind of had me on sour grapes during the DLC, or at least the start anyways. I was so excited to see Jacob's character development. I mean, we got such a small inkling taste of it. Just right at the start, we had an appetizer. But nah, never mind, we don't want character development in this DLC. Well, classic Ubisoft. But anyways, throughout the story, you see the murders that Jack the Ripper did, and solving mysteries like your Scooby-Doo. However, they have changed the victims to be assassins. So the victims that did get massacred in the actual thing have been turned into assassins or accomplices of the assassins. Honestly, I'm not really surprised about that. If they're gonna make Jack the Ripper a rogue assassin, I'm not surprised on this one. But honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing, just making them assassins. It's kind of typical. Now, in this DLC, the Ripper didn't attack mindlessly at all. He only went after women who worked for the Brotherhood, or people that worked for the Brotherhood. That's the only people that he killed, because he blames the assassins for killing his mother. Literally, it's just that, moving like some Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th Part 2. You can't even tell me I'm wrong. Look at his fit. Like, he gonna be out here hitting that. However, comparing this to the actual historical version of Jack the Ripper, he didn't go after women because they were working for the Assassin's Creed. We won't even know why he killed the people that he killed, or why he targeted who he targeted, because again, we just don't know. The guy was never caught, so we just genuinely do not know his motivations. And because of this fact, I feel like Ubisoft Quebec decided to make some sort of reason why he targeted who he targeted, and that's why the targets are turned into assassins in this story, which, to be fair enough. It's not necessarily something that's actually changing historical events, it's just changing the profession, that's it really. And I feel like the way how they gave him a motivation, it was like kind of like Jason Voorhees-esque, but it will do for the story. And not only that, the way how they went through his identity. Like, at the end of the day, we don't know who this man is, like, at all. So they made a story for that. They decided to go, you know what, just because we don't know who he is, doesn't mean that we can't create a very good story to tell on why, in this universe, why Jack the Ripper's identity is unknown. Why not get creative with it? Why not give a reason why? Why not give a reason why they will never know? So that's what Ubisoft Quebec did, and honestly, I commend them for it. They've taken risks with this DLC, and it's a very touchy subject, so I give applause to Ubisoft Quebec for what they've done with this DLC 100%. You see, the way how they went through it with his identity, they made you go to 2 places. One place is what Jack calls the the madhouse, aka a mental hospital. This is where Jack as a kid was for a lot of his time, and he destroyed any records that he was there, anything at all. And not only that, there's an abandoned dock that you go to as Evie to then search for things and yada yada yada. Near the end, Evie tells police to go to that place, as many as possible, to help the victims that are still there. But then you go and play Jack and you go to the same place, and what he does is that he just absolutely destroys any witnesses, any piece of paper that has any evidence, anything at all. And the way how they do it is just so good. Yes, the DLC has a set amount of time in it, but at the end of the day, the way how they dealt with his identity in such quick succession, I am honestly really impressed with what Ubisoft Quebec did with this DLC. The last thing I mainly want to talk about is the end, the boss fight, the last stitch, the last congregation of events, the last thing that you need to do in this DLC, and that is kill the Ripper. However, the way how they go around it, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of it. The way how the Jack the Ripper boss goes is that you basically run away from the Ripper, hit him with 2 brutal assassinations, then go fisticuffs with the guy, good old fisticuffs, and then after that, he's dead. That's it. That's all that you're gonna give me for a boss fight? Is that it? You're gonna give me 2 brutal assassinations, a very short fisticuff session, and then you're gonna call it that's that? You know what I mean? You're just gonna grab your Tetley tea bags and then make yourself a cup of tea, and then there you go, job done. Nah, that don't rub me the right way. Like, you're gonna do half a job. How dare you? How dare you? That's unacceptable. Unacceptable! The Jack the Ripper DLC introduced a new gameplay mechanic, a new fear system we are given in 2 different tools, the fear bomb and the fear stabby thing. I don't know the name of it, nor can I find the name of it. The new 2 tools that we are given were from the Indian Brotherhood. Now if you don't believe me, let Evie Fry tell you.
Weapons of intimidation, much like those we learned to use with our Indian brothers.
So with that being explained, I would like to thank you, Indian Brotherhood, for giving us one of the most fun game mechanics to ever exist in Assassin's Creed. Thank you for your fear tactics. I will gladly accept them in the Brotherhood.
Oh, what's this, Greenie? Assassin Christmas.
Yes, it is, Jacob. Go and enjoy your Christmas, bro. Go and enjoy. Using fear assassination, and not only that, the fear tools, oh my goodness, it is so good and so fun. I have not had fun in an Assassin's Creed game in so long. It's been so long since I've enjoyed an Assassin's Creed game, not much less a mechanic. Like, come on now, you're telling me this was in the Jack the Ripper DLC? Like, what? And apparently, all right, let me just break this down for you. There's 2 versions of this fear tactic, or this fear system. There is the brutal version. Right, fuck it, we're going with it. There's the brutal version that Jack the Ripper has. Yes, the brutal version. And then there's the non-lethal version that Evie Fry has. I'm gonna play some footage, right? And you tell me if Evie Fry is non-lethal. This woman is killing people. Don't try and get it twisted. She's like Batman in the Arkham series. She's killing people. She ain't giving concussions. She's killing. Fully killing. So, you let me know.
Please don't hurt my boy. She won't pay.
Non-lethal weapons are lethal. I do not care. She moving like Arkham Batman. Don't let her fool you. Do not let her fool you at all. Now, there is only one side quest that I actually want to talk about in this game, and that is the transportation missions. These missions are where you take suspects who are accused to be Jack the Ripper and you take them to be interrogated so they can clear their name. Now, it's not necessarily what you do in the transportation missions that makes me want to talk about it, it's the name of the transportation missions. Now, if you check on these ones, I only checked on 2 because the one that I did do beforehand, I did not pay attention, but when I did pay attention and I looked at the name of the transportation mission, I got a little bit of digging, and the names that are on these transportation missions are actual people that got interrogated for being Jack the Ripper. Transporter number 1 was John Pricer, and transporter number 2 was Robert Stevenson. Robert Stevenson was a prominent suspect in the Jack the Ripper case for a very, very long time. He became a suspect due to his strange behavior and his intimate knowledge of all the murders, which, to be fair, having such detail of the murders, of course it's going to make you a little bit of a suspect. However, for John Pricer is a little bit different. He became under suspicion after the murder of Mary Ann Nichols, when the newspapers reported that the police were looking for a man named Leather Apron who had been ill-treating prostitutes in the Whitechapel area. I'm bringing this up because I'm a huge history nerd, and seeing this took me back to a time when Ubisoft actually cared, and honestly, it just makes me happy to see historical suspects in the game, even if they aren't major. But honestly, the DLC is fantastic, and I highly recommend playing it. At some point, I am planning on doing Freedom Cry. I am going to be playing that for the first time real soon, so just keep an eye out for that video. As you can see, content-wise, I've been kind of doing whatever I want, and honestly doing something that I enjoy. I don't want to just do Assassin's Creed and stuff, especially the new ones, as it makes me severely depressed. So I'm just doing whatever game I feel like, whatever Assassin's Creed I feel like. Because honestly, Assassin's Creed, just doing Assassin's Creed content just severely burns me out, and I don't want to lose passion for the title, especially because of the new ones are just depressing enough. So talking about how bad the depressing ones are, it's just like, oh, it's long. But yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Take care.
What's the use? Loss taught me strength, heartbreak taught me loyalty. Backwards to you, well, we don't see congruently. Pain turned to passion, that's the thesis of my work. Got a whole lot of love off a whole lot of hurt from a whole lot of dirt. Watch my name bloom beautifully. Soaked up the rain from the storm sent to ruin me. Truly free, I'll return to sender, this is alchemy. Everyone out